Apparently, Joe Biden had nothing to do with gas prices going up over the past year.
Wow.
Nothing.
Apparently, it's Putin. The invasion of Ukraine somehow retroactively, for the past several months before Putin even invaded, was making gas prices go up during Biden's administration. How weird.
How strange. How absolutely bizarre. I know, who'd have thunk. I mean, yeah, obviously gas prices went up when Russia invaded Ukraine.
Yes.
But also, as anyone who looks at markets at any time ever or reads the news or frankly just doesn't live under a rock can see, is that gas prices were bound to go up and they're going to keep going up regardless. I mean, Russia could stop invading Ukraine tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, everything could go back to totally normal in Europe overnight, which won't happen, but it could.
Yes.
And gas prices would still be high. Sure, they drop for a hot sec, but then they just go right back up. Why? Because the U.S. isn't drilling.
But wait a minute. But Jen Psaki just told me that Biden had nothing to do with this.
I know, and don't we all believe Jen Psaki?
Yeah.
The hilarious thing is that she keeps claiming, so the biggest thing right now is that there's all these problems with federal leasing for drilling. Joe Biden also obviously shut down the Keystone pipeline, which would have brought us a lot of oil. But somehow the administration keeps saying, they're like, we didn't do any of this.
Right.
And we're like, we have the executive orders to prove it. It's like,
right. It was just a couple months ago that he kind of upped the whole federal leasing thing, right? Like,
yeah.
It's costing private companies so much to produce oil that it's not even worth doing it.
It's not.
Yeah.
And also added to that, it's not worth drilling your own oil if it's so hard to transport because all of your pipelines are shut down. So the Biden administration has shown by shutting down the Keystone pipeline right at the beginning of his first day in office, he showed that he was not willing to put in the infrastructure for oil. And so all these oil companies are like, you can ask us to drill all you want, but if you're not going to give us pipelines for transportation, we don't feel like drilling.
Yeah, and that's a move that he's never going to be able to undo.
Yeah.
We just talked to a oil exec in Montana recently for a story that's going to go out today, and he told us that Keystone's never coming back now. Like, Biden has ruined that forever, and so the oil we need to bring those gas prices down it's not coming anytime soon.
Yeah. It's just crazy to me. And when we look at inflation overall, the other thing that I don't think really anyone in the media is talking about is how just nearly 2 years ago, everyone on the right pretty much was warning that if you gave everyone stimulus checks, you would deal with the repercussions approximately, 2 years later. And so now we're all supposed to be shocked, And that's not to diminish the horrible decisions that the Biden administration has had, but what's fair is fair. And it just proves that when the government tries to step in and kind of like fix a situation like that, it's just not beneficial.
And there's so many factors going into gas prices going up. Mostly, I would say, Biden related.
Mm-hmm. Mostly Biden related.
Well, I mean, just general economy.
But
too.
that's a good point, Tara, economically, because typically gas prices are kind of the baseline measuring stick of where inflation's at in a lot of cases. So that's a big part of it. And Biden, obviously, their decision to print off money to the degree that they have been is not going to alleviate the problem anytime soon. But what really hits me about this, Abby, is that, first of all, gas prices were going up before the whole Russia invasion.
Right.
So there was already decisions he was making was putting them up. So saying that it's all Russia is ridiculous. But secondly, Russia also wouldn't have invaded if it wasn't for Biden's decisions, and this is what a lot of experts have speculated, that weakened our energy independence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm like, why?
So twofold. So it was getting worse because of him, but even if you pin it all on Russia, that's also all his fault.
That's also
so what argument are you making?
His fault. It's like, you just keep you kind of travel around the circle, and every time you're like, oh my goodness, we're back at Biden. It's like, oh, and Biden caused that. Oh, and he caused that, and it's just unavoidable. His economic sensibilities are nil.
Yeah.
And almost everything that he does, he says, oh, this isn't my fault. This is spiraling off of something else. And it's like, well, who is at the root of every problem? It's typically the administration.